Chapter 18. Turk's Revenge. Is everything set? Yes. You aren't pulling a Reno on us, are you? You are, aren't you? Who do you believe he learned it from? His own sick, twisted little head? I suggest that if you do not wish to break out the cumateria that we move. Ha. Ha 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 ha. Reno fell off the bench at the end of the Gryffindor table, his laughter ringing out over the excited chatter of the students that were all down for breakfast that morning. Rude looked over at his partner and shook his head, turning back to the quibbler in his hands. Today that was the only paper delivered, as the reason was quite clear on the front page. Shinra blows up Daily Prophet with mole explosives. A new activist group has appeared. It actually showed a picture of the remains of the building the Daily Prophet had once been housed in. Keywords: it was just the remains of the building. What made it even better was the words written in red paint across the building next to it. In Old Midgarian was "I must not tell lies," with the Shinra logo drawn next to it. Sephiroth was smiling brightly from his seat, leaning over Tseng, reading his copy. Remind me to give that man a huge hug. This was a 100% Turk Mo with a little avalanche flair to it. Reno finally managed to pull himself up, but was still laughing like a damn hyena. This is fucking great, yo. Wiping tears of mirth from his cheeks, Reno set his copy down and looked around, seeing the others were all grinning, even the Honorable Angel. You never slander a Turk ... and you never slander a Utai Turk. Tseng grinned, folding his own copy and laying it gently on the table in front of him. We don't exactly take it very well. Reaching up, he wrapped an arm around Seth, pulling him in. He had honestly been debating on doing something similar himself after reading the Prophet yesterday, but he had left that up to Seth's father. Utanis were very protective of their honor, and to slander their name and question that honor and their family's honor, wrong move. This world honestly had no idea what they were up against. Turks had no rules and they refused to play by anyone else's. Well, they did have rules, but they were completely and utterly retarded ones that they had all just thrown into a hat and drawn and decided to implement that stupidest ones. Like, make coffee not war, unless a soldier has all the coffee. Then it's on. Turk anger management, step 1. If you're angry, shoot it. It works every time, and annoying secretaries don't show up in the sitting room. Cherish your partner, respect your betters, avoid the science department. That one is kind of self-explanatory. All-nighters every fucking night. Mysterious stains every morning. That one happened more often than it should. For when a victim accuses us of kidnapping. I am not kidnapping you. I'm just borrowing your body for an undisclosed amount of time. Their faces upon hearing that make most of them giggle like hell for a week afterwards. Never let a female Turk plan her own funeral. They tended to turn into Turkzillas. Yes, they faked their deaths a lot. Never forget the Turk's greatest defense is the Turk office couch. It saved the males' asses so many times when one of the girls was PMsing. Mandatory office supplies: paperclip, rubber band and dynamite. Paperclip for holding reports together, rubber band for your hair. Or shooting a trino. Dynamite. Do they need a reason for that? When in doubt, blame Reno. You would be surprised with how often people just accepted this. Even Reno. Death is no longer an excuse not to come into work on time. And neither is being experimented on by a scientist. Look at the soldiers they made. They seem to be just fine. Nope. Nothing wrong with them at all. That last one Sephiroth had nearly kicked Tseng across Shinra for. Reno had made sure to keep the surveillance recordings of that day, as Sephiroth had literally chased Tseng all across the Shinra grounds. It was quite an entertaining video, as Tseng, the master of Parkour, had given Sephiroth the royal run around that day, Rena had even gone through and put the Benny Hills theme song to a section where Tseng had run Sephiroth around the soldier floor. What made it even funnier were all the soldiers that joined in with their general and still couldn't catch the Wutai man. I wonder if Genesis kept that too. It would seem Reno and Tseng were on the same page. Kept what? Angela asked. Hermione looked over from where she was sitting on his other side. You remember that great chase, don't ya? Angel snorted as Sephiroth flushed a brilliant red and quickly ducked his head, his bangs coming to cover his face. He had discovered after his shower that morning that all the black was gone from his hair and his hair now lay completely flat. He actually looked like Kadaj now. Oh, I remember it. I made the mistake of walking out of my office when you all came breezing by. What happened? Hermione actually liked hearing the stories from the days of Shinra for these boys. They had been telling them all day yesterday during Hogsmeade and they were extremely entertaining. With the Turks, we don't have any set rules. Other than obvious ones like we can't kill the president or general hotness over here. Reno jabbed his thumb at where Sephiroth was downing another energy drink. But for shits and giggles we all made up a bunch of stupid rules. One of them that Tseng made up was death is no longer an excuse not to come into work on time. And neither is being experimented on by a scientist. Look, the soldiers they made. They seem to be just fine. Nope. Nothing wrong with them at all. General Hotness here saw it when he came into the offices to talk to Rude about a mission. We told him it was Tseng's rule and next thing we know he goes storming into Tseng's office and boss man here comes streaking out like a black chocobo out of hell with kitten here chasing after him. The group all started to laugh as many were there for this. He ended up chasing boss man all across the damn building. Even going so far as to run up onto the soldier floor where about 12 soldiers joined into the chase. I was in the surveillance room watching all this and it was so damn funny. Tseng smirked at the bright red Sephiroth next to him. They never did catch me. He had a very smug smile on his face. That's only because you jumped up into the ventilation system. I am a Turk, Sephiroth. We're trained for stealth and so I simply utilized my training. It isn't my fault soldiers are not trained as well. Growling low, Sephiroth lunged for the Turk next to him but only managed to hit her as Tseng leapt over the table and landed behind Angel. Now. That wasn't very nice. Hit a little too close to home? There was a teasing tone to Tseng's voice. He must have been feeling good as it was rare to get him in a teasing mood. Pulling off his robe he was once more in Cloud's shirt as the marks on his neck weren't healing as fast as a soldier's would. He didn't care that he was out of uniform, the cow Umbridge could kiss his pasty white ass. Sephiroth growled again, his eyes narrowing as the thrill of a good chase starting to pump the Mako in his veins. Tseng always gave him a run for his money, while the Turk director was not nearly as fast as the over-enhanced Solider. The man was as slippery as a fox. Start running, Turk. Sephiroth growled, throwing his own robe off and leapt across the table already on the heels of the fleeing Turk. Well, we won't see them for a few hours. Zack chuckled and stood up, stretching that we're gonna do something bad smirk playing on his lips. You ready, Reno? The red-headed Turk smirked, nodding and stood up quickly. Of course you. Today they were going to have some fun. This was absolutely infuriating. Dolores was pacing up and down the halls, her fat little fingers clenching and unclenching around her wand. They had tried almost everything that was allowed within Hogwarts to get those boys to crack, but as every day progressed they were changing more and revealing less. About the only thing that might work on them was full-out torture with the Unforgivables, which she was more than happy to do to get the answers Cornelius wanted from them, but she had to wonder if even those would work. She had seen those eyes before in others that they had interrogated in the past. Those were the people that would never crack unless put into a situation where their life was put into jeopardy. As long as the boys were at Hogwarts she could do nothing, especially to Harry Potter, who was watched far too well by the staff and students. She needed to get him out of Hogwarts, away from the safety of that doddering old fool and the rules that even Cornelius could not break. The boy. She plastered a sickeningly sweet smile on her face as said boy could be seen leaning up against the wall panting hard. Zabini next to him sprawled out on the floor panting hard as well, but both were laughing. I haven't run like that in years. Sephiroth pushed himself off the wall and helped Tseng to his feet. I know. And this place has a lot more parkour spots than. Tseng's face instantly closed off as he caught sight of Umbridge walking towards them. Seeing that shift in Tseng's mood, Sephiroth looked over and instantly his old soldier mask went up. Oh, he would love to just run Masamune through her heart. And lop her head off for good measure. What are you two boys doing up here? Oh, her voice was grating on the ears. Sephiroth resisted the urge to dig his fingers in his ears as her voice left them ringing. Doing a few laps around Hogwarts. Stay fit for when we have to run from those child rapists and murders that don't exist in the world show up. Sephiroth snorted and ducked his head down, hiding behind his bangs. Oh yeah, he forgot how smart-ass Tseng got after a good hard fuck. Gotta outrun all the rainbows and kittens this world is so full of. Tseng sent a smirk over to Sephiroth. Yeah, when he was feeling really good he tended to be a real big smartass. It was rare and generally only happened after he had been fucked into the mattress a few dozen times in a day, but he did have his moment and really he wasn't a Turk right now. He could get away with being himself for once. Umbridge smiled only seemed to get bigger. I believe that is a detention, Mr. Zabini. See me in my office tonight. She wasn't expecting the shrug she got from the young Slytherin turned Turk. Going to break out the blood quill? I look forward to it. Pain really turns me on. It didn't really. He was a masochist in a way, as his training had taught him to turn pain into another feeling, and he had chosen pleasure. While he found some pain pleasurable, he wasn't into the whole breaking bones and digging a finger into a bullet hole. Umbridge was actually taken back by that. Normally you really only saw masochist in the Death Eaters, and still that was only the insane ones. Moving behind Tseng, Sephiroth unzipped his shirt, revealing all the bruises and love bites marring the now ivory flesh. And this is mild. Laughing, Tseng batted Sephiroth away, zipping the shirt back up. Yes, he was being gentle last night. Bingo. Umbridge smiled a cruel smile at that. Zabini was far too young to be sleeping with someone. If she threatened his lover with jail, she might be able to get him to talk. One thing she didn't count on was Zabini seeming to know her thought process and retaliate. He knew that look, and he was able to guess fairly easily what she had latched onto. She had an absolutely horrible poker face. Lifting up his left hand, the gold band flashed in the candlelight coming from the walls. We're married. His country allows minor to be wed if the other party is of legal age. And 15 is the legal age. He couldn't help but smirk, seeing she had bought that BS. Sorry. Nice try though. Come on, Harry. Tseng wasn't stupid enough to call Seph by his real name in front of her. Flipping her the bird, Sephiroth trotted after the older Turk, feeling Reno and Zack hiding in a secret passageway. Moving around the corner, he looked in behind the tapestry, seeing both covered head to toe in brilliant fluorescent colors. Did you two have fun? Tseng asked, ducking in behind the tapestry with Sephiroth just as they heard Umbridge stomping by, cursing them out. Of course you. Reno whispered, snickering like hell. A minute or so later there was a loud shriek from the direction of the Dada classroom. Grinning like idiots, the four slapped 5 and disappeared into the hallway. Dolores stared in horror at her once beautiful office destroyed. Her beautiful pink walls were painted a horrendous mixture of neon green and brilliant orange with splashes of neon blue. All of her beautiful plates had been transfigured into yipping dogs and screeching howler monkeys. Her lace had been dyed fluorescent blue and brilliant red. All of her beautiful teacups were standard plain white mugs. Against the far wall was the same symbol that was painted outside the Daily Prophet with words she could not understand. Minerva and a few of the other professors, alerted by her scream, rushed into the room, ones drawn. Phileas had to leave the room, he was cracking up so hard seeing what was done to her office. My Dolores, this is quite loud. Minerva was trying desperately to keep a straight face. She was a little unnerved by the symbol and words painted on the wall, but she had a feeling this was one of the students this toad of a woman had crossed getting their revenge, and was copying what they saw in the paper that morning. Umbridge was sputtering. She was so enraged at the moment. "I will find who did this, and I will make sure they never set foot inside this school again." She stormed out of the room, intent on tracking down the little bastards who did this. Jiggling like hell, Minerva left the room with the other laughing teachers. They would let Dumbledore know something was written on the wall. The man knew over 300 languages. He should be able to translate this. The writing on the wall shimmered for a second, revealing its true message before disappearing once more. "Mess with the best. Die like the rest. This is warning 1, don't fuck with the Turks."
Well, I do hope you enjoyed the videos so far and video game content. And don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button, and leave a comment down below. And I noticed 40% of you guys are not subscribed to the channel. If you can, please subscribe to the channel. It'll help me and help the channel grow. Until next time, goodbye!